This morning I was reading the book of Matthew in chapter 25, the parable of the bridesmaids. And I was really, really drawn to that because I was thinking about how so many people only live for Christ when there's a wake-up call, when their fear of going, because of their fear of going to hell, or just for the simple fact that they think that God may be coming back soon because maybe something they heard, conspiracy theories and things like that. And when I was reading Matthew chapter 25, it specifically calls out those group of people, the people who only live for Christ out of expectation or out of basically fear of going to hell. And what made me think about this, obviously, the recent news about Charlie. I didn't really know who he was. I knew who he was, like I've seen him on TikTok plenty of times. I've seen a couple of his takes. I heard a lot of people don't agree with his takes. I don't understand why, but regardless, it's horrible to see something like that happen. And it just reminded me, it is a wake-up call. It's a huge wake-up call, like any day could be your last. No matter how big you are, no matter how much security you have, because he had a whole bunch of security. And I definitely send prayers to his families, because condolences to his family. I hate to see things like that. I genuinely do. I just couldn't imagine like their family and how they feel. But it's a huge wake-up call because a lot of people see that and be like, dang, if he died, I can die the next day, and he's in heaven right now. Like he can't live another day. Like he doesn't have another chance. And many people see that, and so they get really, really motivated to read the word. They get really, really motivated to stop giving in to lust and basically live a life for Christ instead of always living like that. Because they get the motivation, but then when that motivation runs out, they forget about the situation that happens. They basically stop going as hard. And how Jesus explained it was he compared the kingdom of heaven to a bridegroom and the bridesmaids. There was 10 bridesmaids, and they had to prepare oil for the bridegroom. And 5 of them were foolish, and then 5 of them were wise. The wise ones brought enough oil, extra oil, just in case the bridegroom didn't come at the time he said. And then the foolish ones only brought enough oil for when the bridegroom said he was coming. And in the way I interpret that, of course, the way I see that is the oil represents the fire we have for Christ, basically the motivation to be able to stay consistent with reading the word, spending time with him, always having our mind on him. And so the foolish ones only brought enough oil, meaning they were only motivated enough to continue to stay lit on fire for Christ for when he was coming back, when the specific time he was coming back. And the word even says when the bridegroom didn't come, they got drowsy, they got tired, and so they fell asleep basically. And so when basically Jesus come back inside of that parable, they weren't ready. And so at the end of the parable, it says nobody knows the time or hour. And so the reason why they were so foolish in that parable is because they were only relying on Jesus coming back at a specific time for them to live for him, instead of constantly living for him on a day-to-day basis, just living their lifestyle for Christ and for his coming. While the wise people prepared for that. They had extra fire. They had extra motivation for even if Jesus didn't come back in years from now, they would still be ready. And we have to have that same mindset. But the only way that you're going to get to that point is when you stop living out of fear and you start living straight out of love. You literally live for God just because you love him and what he's done for you. The only way you're going to get to that point is if you are genuinely real with your faith. You're not denying temptation just because, oh, you're scared to go to hell. You're not reading the word because I have to read the word just to deny temptation, or you're not going to church every Sunday just because you did bad this week, or you fell into temptation and now you feel like if you go to church now you're more right with God. No, you're doing it because you read the word, because you want to get to know who God is. You go to church for the simple fact you want to get to know who God is. You want to be around community. You want to get a deeper understanding of the word, whatever that may look like. in your specific life. You're denying temptation because you know that's a disgrace to God. You know that's not something that God would want you to do. Matter of fact, it's cheating on God, just like it would be cheating on your wife. And when you start doing things with the right intention behind it, and you actually start doing things for God out of the love of your heart and not out of fear, that is when you will start consistently living for God. And your identity now starts to become a follower of Christ, a true man of God, and you know that you're headed towards the kingdom no matter what day you may pass away or if Jesus comes back tomorrow. And so stop relying on the motivation of fear or a wake-up call for you to start living more on fire for God. Yes, that may motivate you more. That motivated me more to spend more time with God, to spread the gospel more, and just do things for God. Yes, it's a wake-up call because we're human beings. We're not going to be perfect. But do not let that be the only reason you pursue God or spend time with God. Don't let fear be the only reason. Remember, fear can be a motivation to get you through the door, but love is what keeps you inside of that door.